Unless you're living under a rock, you know that Donald Trump spent a little time in Las Vegas and Henderson and just outside of Reno over the weekend. A lot of people not practicing social distancing. And nobody really had a chance to get a one-on-one interview with Donald Trump except for the lady we have with us on the line right now who I have a lot of respect for. She is a great journalist with the RJ. She is their White House correspondent. She actually had a chance to sit down with Donald Trump, the only person that was able to do that. That is Deborah Saunders, who joins us right now on the line. Deborah, thank you so much for being here. How are you?
Thanks a lot, Deborah.
Oh, I'm great. I'm great. How are you doing?
Doing good, Deborah. I know that you're very busy. You just covered an event in front of the White House. So before I ask you a little bit about that, I want to play a piece of audio from your interview that has made national news. This is you with a one-on-one interview with Donald Trump in Henderson saying that he was not concerned about getting COVID. Have a listen to this, and then I want you to respond to it.
This is a much smaller.
Aren't you concerned about getting COVID, though, in an enclosed way?
No, I'm not concerned.
What about
I'm more concerned about how close you are, to be honest.
Sorry about that.
Because you know why? I'm on a stage that's very far away. And so I'm not at all concerned.
Okay, so Deborah, that made national news because he's talking about he's not concerned because he's so far away from people. Yet, as you know, you were there, thousands of people right next to each other not practicing social distancing. I mean, what's going through your mind when he gives you that answer?
Well, it's a question I've wanted to ask for a while because you have to wonder. I remember when he spoke in Tulsa, thinking about you're going to be in an enclosed area with all these people. They're clapping, they're yelling, they're doing stuff like that. It seems like a super spreader, the sort of thing to make super spreading happen, right?
Yeah.
So I asked him, and he said, "Well, I'm far away from people. I'm really not worried about it." I asked him how he felt about the people who were there, and I have to tell you guys, the acoustics were so bad. I basically got pulled to talk to him before he went out to speak. They have this area that they save for TV interviews. There were none, but they like to do regional TV after rallies. But that's after the rally when there's not a lot of noise. It's not when they're doing pumped up music to get ready for people to see Donald Trump. So it was a very difficult venue, and it was hard for all of us to hear.
Yeah, and you did as good a job as you could under those circumstances. What was his demeanor like? Can you talk to me a little bit more? I mean, your article is great. Talk to me a little bit more about some of the questions that you asked him in response to not only the coronavirus but the election and these campaign rallies in general.
Well, I mean, he seemed very relaxed. He seemed upbeat. I asked him also. I asked him. He said that it's going to be a rigged election because Nevada's going to be mailing out ballots to all active voters, and we talked about Steve Sisolak. I've really been curious to understand this relationship. I wanted to know. I've asked a number of people. I hadn't gotten an answer before whether or not they'd ever talked. He said they had a little bit, and Nevada has a Republican Secretary of State, and she seems to feel that things can be handled well. So I asked him about that, and he said, no, Sisolak's going to be running things. And so, there are a lot of little issues I wanted to talk about. We started, I asked him about Saudi Arabia and Israel. I was there on the very first trip that he took, and his very first international travel started in Riyadh, and I asked him about whether or not he thought the Saudis would join in this Abraham Accord that was signed today, and he said, yeah, he thought it would happen at some point.
Interesting.
Which would be just huge, by the way.
Did you get into anything in regards to racial relations, and what's going on throughout the country right now?
No. This was so fast.
How much time did they give you, by the way?
Sounds like 3 to 5 minutes.
Yeah. How much time did they give you?
3 minutes.
That's it?
They said 3. I got 6.
Well, that's good.
That's actually pretty damn good.
That's impressive.
So explain me how this, obviously you have your contacts at the White House and you're the White House correspondent, and obviously Trump knows who you are. With that being said, I mean, this is a pretty big deal that you were able to even get any time with him as nobody else really got a one-on-one with him. I mean, how does this work? I mean, so you're backstage somewhat right in this area, and it's very loud. Like you said, the acoustics are terrible. How does this work? Just so the general public can understand. I mean, you just have one of his aides that you're speaking with, and they give you a specific area to be at. How long were you waiting there? And then he just comes up to you. Does he say hello to you? I mean, how does that work? I'm just curious.
Well, first of all, I've been pitching for an interview with the president for quite some time. Mm-hmm. Most people who are in my position have been doing that. And so I finally found out I could interview him in Las Vegas.
Right.
So I was with the travel pool, and I had to keep my game face on, not let anybody know that I had this interview.
Right.
Because if other people find out, they might want to try to get one too, and that could hurt my chances.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
So I made sure I didn't look too good, I wore like a pool uniform, right? Black slacks and stuff like that.
So you don't want to overdress because then people are, some of your journalists, some of your friends are going to be like, why are you so dressed up for?
They can smell blood in the water, Brian.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny.
That's right.
Bunch of sharks.
That's right. There's no way I was going to do that. So I was there. Rory Appleton, our superb politics reporter, they actually separate the press even. So local press was in one area. I was with the travel press. And I thought I was going to have the interview at a different time after the rally. Now, with the president, he really likes regional press, but he likes regional TV. He does not. It's really unusual for him to do anything print after a rally. But that's the way they had decided to do it. And then they switched and decided to do it beforehand. So
interesting.
That's how it worked. And it means, like, grab all your stuff, and you're running down whenever something like this happens. You're just scrambling. And Rachel Ashton was there, who's our videographer, and she did a great job because it was, as I said, difficult to hear, and I think she filtered out some of the noise in the background.
Yeah, absolutely.
I had a media pass to attend this, and I chose not to. Because I would have gone if it was outdoors, but I said long ago on the show that I would not go to an indoor rally. But you can't really deny anyone who is a big never Trumper or a Trump hater or is a staunch Democrat. I mean the massive turnout in Minden, the massive turnout here in Henderson, the thousands that attended, the thousands of different boats at the boat parade. I mean it looks to me like Donald Trump has some very serious support in the state of Nevada. What do you think the chances are of the state going red, Deborah?
Well, can I just say one thing first? I wouldn't have gone if I knew it was inside.
Yeah.
Originally, as you know, they were talking about doing this at Sirius Aviation near McCarran. But by the time I'm committed and it looks like I have an interview, of course I go. It's they're really enthusiastic. Here's what's interesting for me. I talked to a number of people who had come, and I've been to other Trump rallies in Las Vegas before, and they're filled with Californians. In Arizona, people will come from anywhere to go to a Trump rally. So I got to talk to some people who love Donald Trump, and I talked to one woman local, and she had been to rallies before. I talked to another couple. They lived in Henderson. They said we just thought it would be a zoo trying to go to one of these things before, but now we get to go because of the coronavirus, and there just aren't as many people going inside. So can Trump win Nevada? There's the fact that Amy Walters moved Nevada closer, closer to the center in her political prognostication. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of people who are looking at things about it and thinking it's possible. Hillary won the state by 2.4% in 2016. At that time, it was right after the Access Hollywood problem, and there were some people who probably stayed home and didn't vote. That's something that I think that the campaign is really relying on. And they think that they have just incredibly enthusiastic voters and that these folks will turn out. We'll see. I mean, let's face it, when you look at what happened in 2018 and the fact that every single race except Secretary of State, every single seat went to the Democrats, it seems unlikely, and yet a lot more people are thinking it.
Yeah, I mean, I think everything is up in the air right now. I agree. I guess, Deborah, this would be my last question for you. I don't know if you saw the piece that Jim Acosta did on CNN at some of these rallies, asking some of the supporters, does it not concern you that you're not wearing a mask? Did you get a chance to speak to any of the supporters that were at that event, and did you talk to them about social distancing? I mean, what was some of the reaction you got from some of these people that were at the rally in Henderson?
So, I did talk to people, and I didn't ask them. Some had masks on, some didn't.
Right. Yep.
And obviously, if you see people who are sitting there and they're not wearing masks, they're not afraid of getting it.
Right.
That's the only thing I can say.
Yeah.
If you show up at a Trump rally and they were the people who were near me, because I was not free to walk around. It's only people who were near the press area you could really talk to. They knew what they were doing, and some of them wore masks and many of them didn't. So
yeah. Can I ask you about that?
A lot of people.
I'm sorry to interject, Deborah, but you just reminded me of something. Is it true? Because I heard a rumor that there were people behind Trump and they weren't wearing a mask until Trump showed up. Is there any truth to that?
Boy, who wrote that? I couldn't. Again, this is one of those things where I couldn't see that because
Gotcha.
the area where I was there was not a lot of visibility. But I know that that's been reported, and that certainly seems possible. I was tested for coronavirus Sunday morning.
Right.
And I thought Trump is always telling reporters, take off your mask. And I didn't think they'd want me to have one on, but they did.
Interesting. That's very interesting. Well, I'm glad they're doing that. I think that they need to be consistent on that. Well, Deborah, you are really good at what you do. We appreciate you. Great article, and congratulations on landing the president. Not many people can say that. So great job, and we're proud of what you do here in Las Vegas for the RJ. Thanks so much for your time, and stay safe, and look forward to catching up with you again soon, Deborah. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Deborah.
Appreciate
Really
you
it as well.
That is Deborah Saunders.